What's up guys, if you're into early stage projects in blockchain and you're only hearing about Aleph Zero now, then you've either been dozing more than my little Jack Russell Lucy, or you haven't been paying attention in our socials since last summer. In this video, I'm going to take you through 7 reasons why I believe Aleph Zero could become one of the biggest winners in crypto in 2022 and beyond. So let's get straight into it with reason number 1. When we all think about blockchain or Web3, we think about an open, decentralized, trustless environment where our data is secure and safe. However, we do need to trust someone, and that's the miners or the validators in the case of proof of stake. And in the case of the proof of work Ethereum network, these miners have extracted over $500 million worth of value since the middle of 2020. And this comes from essentially front-running trades. If they know someone's a successful trader, or they know someone has a big order coming in, they can actually get their order in ahead of them in the block and literally extract the value from other users in the network who are making trades as well. Aleph Zero solves this through a mixture and combination of state-of-the-art technologies, which takes me to reason number 2. So at number 2, we have, of course, the tech. And this starts off with DAGs.
Do you like DAGs? DAGs. What?
Yeah, DAGs.
DAGs. Do you like DAGs?
Yeah, we here at Altcoin Edge, we like DAGs too. And basically, if a blockchain is a chain of blocks, then a DAG can be thought of more like a tree, with branches spreading out everywhere, allowing multiple blocks to be formed at once. This kind of technology allows for Aleph Zero to actually achieve 100,000 transactions per second, and also I think a 0.4 second latency time. So transaction finality incredibly fast, extremely scalable as well. So focusing on the privacy aspect, there's 2 main things going on here. Multi-party computation, which on its own can be prohibitively slow, and zero-knowledge proofs. Now, ZK snarks, while they allow basic transfers, do not allow multi-user transactions, and the slowness of MPC each has its own drawback essentially, but when you couple them together, you have the basis of liminal. And liminal is a fast, secure, extremely private framework that can form the basis of Web3 and metaverse-centric projects. On top of this, their consensus mechanism, ELF-BFT, has a random rotating committee of nodes. That means that all transactions don't have to be processed by a vast number of people, and leading to the times that we see here, 100,000 transactions per second, 0.4 seconds latency time, or transaction finality, just some astonishing numbers from this blockchain as well. Oh, and if you want to win 50 AZERO tokens, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below. So obviously in Web3 at the minute, the buzzword of certainly the last few months at the very least has been interoperability. And we can see here exactly how Aleph foresee this. So Aleph Zero will also be capable of synchronizing with other blockchains and running smart contracts. And its privacy framework can be used on all the major chains. Moreover, the team is working on a truly trustless universal wallet called Common. And we can see here from Liminal, their private DeFi hub, obviously links with Polkadot due to the fact that they're built on Substrate, although using their own consensus mechanism means they will never become a parachain. They can also bridge across to Binance Smart Chain, ETH and others. Also, we have a link here with decentralized file storage and the interplanetary file system, as well as an information bridge using an oracle between the external world to get real world data onto the Aleph chain. So reason number 4 is that they have an incredibly strong team. And just to say, we have a strong team here at Altcoin Edge too. If you like getting into projects early, ICOs, IDOs, community sales, give us a sub, hit us up on Telegram for discussion about those projects as well. And if you're just passing by, leave the video a like or comment what price you think Aleph will be at the end of the year. In terms of Aleph, it started as a concept in early 2018. Matthew Niemerg had on his LinkedIn that he started formally working there in kind of July 2018. And him, as well as co-founders Adam Gagol, Antoni Zolciak and Michael Switek, have been working on this for 3 years before it got to a public sale. In addition to them, there was a team of 20, including 5 PhDs. That's just not the kind of research and development you see in a blockchain project on a regular basis. And as you can see here, that team now has grown to 42 individuals, and you can see there a list of some of their accomplishments, both in the business world and in the field of mathematics and research. Just incredibly impressive stuff. So at number 5, we have something which I think unfortunately is incredibly underappreciated by a lot of blockchain projects. Certainly not here at Altcoin Edge, and definitely not by the guys at Aleph Zero, and that's community values. And it really is a community driven project, and as good a time as any to shout out a value community member of theirs, Super Aleph Zero. I'll link his Twitter in the description. If you're on Twitter, also check him out on Medium. That's linked there too. One of his articles was incredibly helpful in making this video, as was he in terms of like running the ideas past him. So cheers to that. In terms of Elf, the community driven focus, well, they didn't just talk the talk, they walked the walk in terms of their community sale. They're a forward looking project, which is another value. If the tech wasn't enough, to kind of convince you of that, I'll also link an article done by Antoni Zolciak on EU GDPR, and it's what it means for crypto privacy. On top of this, I'm not going to say there's an anti-hype culture about the project, but as Antoni said in our AMA that we did in December, the hype has to be warranted. And I'll leave you a little kind of excerpt from this here, as he can probably explain their values better than I ever can.
Wagon. But one thing that's very important is that there will always be disclosure, or at least as much as we can, control it, we want to. So that's one thing. And the second thing is, I think that, hype has to be warranted by something. So if you do have a great product, if you have a very interesting adopter of the technology, whether it's like some global corporate or a very heavy brand, that's when we won't have any drawbacks when it comes to, also participating and hyping the platform. But still, across the space, what we're seeing across the space is a lot of unwarranted hype, which we're not necessarily fond of.
Yeah.
And we want to sort of go in the other direction, maybe build an image of like an underdog, but still with very, very heavy fundamentals. And if we will be able to pull this off with, I would say, funding that's below average compared to other L1s, that's going to be quite badass.
So coming to reason number 6, we've got the current valuation, tokenomics, release schedule, and circulating supply at Genesis. So we'll flick over to Black Dragon here, where we can see that there was 3 pre-sale or pre-listing fundraising rounds. The pre-seed was 4 cent, the seed 5.7, and the public 10. Now, the pre-seed and seed are vested longer. With the public, there was no lockup, except for the second part of the early bird. I think some of mine are vesting block by block. Don't really care. No plans to sell them at this point anyway, personally. But the point here is that with a lot of projects we see, we're looking at 7x, 10x, 15x, even with Stater, the recent CoinList ICO, and that thing was built in only 8 months. This thing, over 3 years, the pre-seed investors are only like 2.5x, to the public sale price. Of course, you have the lockup as well on top of that. In terms of what we usually see, the kind of pump and dump mechanics of a listing, I know a lot of people kind of might have been a bit disappointed with MEXC, but I actually think in the long run, starting with a small exchange and working the way up really is the way to go, especially when you consider around 180 million of these tokens were circulating by the time of listing. Now, you compare this to, the kind of by design pump and dump mechanics of putting 2% in circulation at the token generation event, letting a really small amount of purchasing pump the token up massively, getting people to ape in as exit liquidity for the early investors, resulting in people getting wrecked. And compare that to the fact that this now, at let's say $1.50 price point, has a $450 million FDV. If about 60% of that is circulating, then we've got 270 million valuation based on circulating supply. Like, for a layer 1 solution with this amount of tech, interoperability, the team behind it, it really has huge capability to grow. Even, I'll bring up some comparisons to other kind of larger L1s. You can see the kind of capability this might have. So yeah, I think the tokenomics, circulating supply, release schedule, everything is in favor here for this to really have solid price action going forward, depending of course on Big Daddy Bitcoin. At number 7 is something we've seen really ramp up recently, but kind of in a controlled and anti-hype way for the most part, is the marketing. And, we've seen what other layer 1 solutions can do in terms of marketing and price action without even having the tech. Shout out to Cardano. With Elf, the tech is definitely there and the marketing is starting to ramp up. We're seeing, features in places like investing.com, nasdaq.com, Cointelegraph, and we're also seeing, much higher social mentions on Twitter, again with people like Super Aleph Zero kind of leading the charge in that respect among many others. And another aspect in which they're actually ramping up the marketing at the moment, which everyone can get involved in, is the ambassador program. So I'll leave a link to that down below if that's something you guys are interested in as well. Guys, thank you for watching. That's 7 reasons I really think Aleph Zero could become a massive project in 2022 and beyond. Appreciate you taking the time. If you haven't liked the vid, give us a second to do it. If you like early stage projects, consider giving us a sub. Cheers lads, and I'm out.